In this video, I'll be showing you some advanced jazz piano voicings and discussing them, writing them down, and talking about why they happen. My name is Paul Tobey from jazzmental.com. In another video, we started this tune, Acquiescence, which was a solo piano recording that I did on an album called Quiet Now. And I love this tune because it's very modern and it's typical of advanced jazz piano voicings for modern players. So I'm going to play you a little bit of the section now that we are going to tackle. I'll also post a link below to the full recording of Acquiescence and the other video that I did on some of the other piano voicings. So let's take it from the top of the page here and we'll go down to where the coda marking is, and then we'll dive into it and discuss the details of the chord voicings. And then it just goes back to the top and repeats the head for solos. So the first thing I wanted to do was, coming into the D section, there's two bars where you see this G minor 7 to C7 and then G flat minor 7 to B7. Now the reason why that's interesting is because the typical way to get to F7 is, of course, G minor 7 to C7 chord progression. But what we're doing here is we're doing not just that one, but then a half step below, which is G minor 7 to C7, and then G flat minor 7, B7, sharp 11, which is really cool. So let me write out the voicings for that, because I think it's interesting to take a look at that in terms of the voicings that we're playing. So the first thing is G minor 7 to C7. So we've got this voicing. We have a 10th in the left hand, which is G to B flat. And if you can also fit the 5th of the chord in there, that'd be cool. And then in the right hand, you've got C, F, A, which is basically an F chord in third inversion. You might want to think of it like that, which is basically F over G minor. And then when we get to C7, sharp 11, you've got this voicing in the left hand, C, E, and B flat, which is the 3rd and the 7th plus the root. And then in the right hand, we're playing the melody note, which is B flat, which is also the 7th. So we've repeated that. But also, you've got now the 9th and the sharp 11, here and here. So that chord voicing, that 2-5, works on pretty much any 2-5. Actually a really nice sound as well. And then when we get to the G flat minor 7 to the B7 sharp 11, it's exactly the same voicings, except we've changed the voicing in the right hand a little bit. And then you've got G flat and the 7th of the chord, which is E natural. And then when we get to the B7 sharp 11, so you've got C sharp, F natural, and A. So think about that when you're doing 2-5-1 progressions in any key. You can then do, instead of just 1-2-5, do 2-2-5s, just go down by a half step. Which is cool. Just maybe tell the bass player that you're doing that, because he would want to follow that as well. But it makes a nice sort of 2-5 pattern down to the F major 7 chord. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about, let's play a little bit more of it. So we discussed those voicings in the other video that I'm going to post a link to. It's basically taking the E major 7 chord in root position and playing 1 and 5 in the left hand, 3 and 7 in the right hand. Really cool modern sound. And then once we get to E section, so I've talked about this before, but I wanted to emphasize it again. This chord right here, D flat over D, is basically this. And then just play a D in the root with an octave below that. So I'll just put a couple of Ds here, just like this. What a lovely sound that is. It's just the harmonics just flow right out of the piano with that. So what you're doing is you're taking a half step above the chord, which is D flat, to D. Really dissonant. When you separate them, what a different sound it makes. So let's go back to the tune. Should probably talk about that one as well. The B major 7 chord. Let's just write that here. B major 7. So what you have is you've got a triad in the right hand. So this is what your upper structure triad is. It's basically D flat major chord over B. So you've got D flat, F, A flat, and D flat at the top. So just a simple D flat triad. And then you've got 1, 3, and 7 for B in the left hand. So there's 1, 3, which is the E flat, and then 7, which is B flat, which is part of the key signature, which I probably should have written over here. What a cool sound. So again, these are great voicings to learn when you're learning modern jazz piano, especially solo piano. So let's play it from E section. So I'm not going to go into detail what I did there, but if you take a look at the G flat over G chord, that's the same as the D flat over D chord that we did earlier. So take the chord, go up a half step, put it in the root. And then I just wanted to play the ending where it goes. And it ends basically on that C major 7th chord sharp 11, which is, let's write that out, C major 7 sharp 11. So you've got in the bass, you're covering the C to E, which is 1 and the third of the chord, playing in tenths, and then you've got just a D chord in the right hand. So let's see, you've got A, D, F sharp, A. So we did a voicing like that earlier, which is the B major 7th chord right in front of it. Same chord over C. Different voicing. And that's pretty much it for the chord voicings of this tune. I'm going to post a link below to download the sheet music for this. Also a link to the full recording. And I suggest that if you like the tune, please perform it and send me a recording of it. I'd love to hear it. It's definitely one of my favorite compositions that I've done over the years. The tune is called Acquiescence from an album called Quiet Now. I hope you enjoy the recording. And again, please, if you're going to play this, practice it, any questions that you have about the voicings and you want to go into it a little bit more in depth, please let me know what you want to talk about and we'll dive into it. Thanks so much for your time.